It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. And I am here in Greg's majestic shirt. This is so cool and comfortable. Don't you love it? I'm here channeling this lion, looking at this hot mess of a planter bed. I've actually done a couple videos on this one, and it's been over a year. It's time to do it again. Look at my blooming Aeonium that is completely spent. I've got a bunch of Aeonium, looks like canariensis down here that we pulled the trash can wheels through, going back and forth, that are all beat up. I popped a moon glow Agave in there as a tiny little guy. He's gotten too big. He's competing with the Aloe in front of him. You'll note these sticks here. This is Synadenium grantii, and you can see it's starting to leaf out. So I'm going to be very, very patient with this plant. I just need to give it some water, and it should bounce out with plenty of leaf. Well, first of all, this Aeonium, it's gone. It's done. Look at this huge bloom. You can see that the bloom is forming from the terminal bud here, that mom has put all of her energy into the flowers, and there's nothing to save. See, if I cut the bloom off and I leave the plant, that's not attractive at all. And see these leaves here at the bottom that are dying? This is going to keep happening all the way up the plant until there's nothing left but a stalk. So, excuse me, can you please sit? Can you please sit? No, not on me. No, not. All right. So, this is coming out and being disposed of. Now, this Moonglow Agave is really getting its legs, and it's starting to compete with this Aloe cameronii here. I need to make a decision. Who's going and who's staying? This space is too small for both of them. There are too many cooks, one too many cooks in the kitchen. So, because I have an Aloe over here, I kind of like the idea of keeping the Aloe and taking the Agave out. And I've got a pot in the back that I think it would look really, really good in. Here's our Agave, and before I plant it in the back in a pot, I'll clean it all up. I'll clean all that detritus out of there. I'll clean off all the spent leaves at the bottom. I'll trim up the roots, probably to about here, and then I will set it in a pot where it can be appreciated as a specimen. Remember too that agaves are nice if they're tipped a little bit, so that you can really enjoy the face of the plant. Rather than planting it straight up like this, a little tip is nice. Okay, oh, this is looking better already. Are you gonna help me, huh, bud? Now, look at this. We've taken and run over, and when I say we, I mean Greg, has run over the Aeoniums with the big barrel trash can. So this is really not attractive, is it? You know, and it's still spring. Aeoniums are still in their growing season. Thank you. Can you excuse me, please? Please, thank you. Aeoniums are still in their growing season, so it's okay to work with them as a cutting if you live in a very mild climate, even in the first part of May. If you don't live in a mild climate, or you're really concerned about heat and you don't want to work with them as a cutting, just clean them up and leave them intact, roots and all. But I've got time, so I'm going to pull them out, and I'm going to clean them all up, check for mealybug or any other insects. Yes, look. Looky here at all these ants that I have upset. This tells me that I've got mealybugs somewhere in this Aeonium. Yep, you can see the little white fluffy stuff on the stem there. Mealybug is bad, not good. It can take a plant out in time. It's a pretty easy thing to treat and control if you get it in the early stages too, by just spraying with some alcohol, rubbing with some alcohol, or spraying with a pesticide or an insecticidal soap, whatever your preference is. When you see ants, usually you're going to find mealybug. Well, just pulling out that hot mess of Aeoniums, I think everyone will agree that this space looks a whole lot better. Couple things that I noticed when pulling out, excuse me sir, could you please sit? Could you please sit? Thank you. A couple things that I noticed, one that's really interesting is look at this aloe, which was planted in here as a cutting. And look at all of the growth, all this trunking. Its face is popping up right here through the Zwartkoff Aeoniums. And I really like that. So I'm going to let that ride. I'm not going to mess with that because I like the way it looks. I also like the way these Zwartkoff Aeoniums fill in here. I like these little Aeoniums here. And the Synadenium grantii, which as you can see, it's, you know, it's getting there. It's thinking about it. It's going to leaf out again. I like that. So I'm going to let that ride. I'm not going to mess with that at all. But this Crassula unjulata, Crosby's compact, the Aeonium Kiwi, messy. So when I pulled out the Aeoniums, that exposed a lot of a mess. So these are going to come out. They were also planted as cuttings about a year ago. So see, you know, I talk about this a lot. You know, when you plant cuttings, there's so many benefits, but one of them is when it's time to rework your design area, roots are typically not a problem. A little, you know, pull and out they come because there hasn't been time for the plant to establish a really mature root system. Bonus. Less work is better, right? Okay. Now, once you've taken out the plants in your installation that are offending you, remember that you don't have to put the cuttings back exactly where you took the plants out. It's perfectly fine to create something new or something different with your cuttings. Be creative. I've got a whole pile of Crassula and Aeoniums here, and what I'm going to do now, you know, now that I've opened it up, is I'm going to identify, you know, where this new installation needs plant material. And it may not be exactly the way it was before, but that's part of the fun. I like to use my Aeoniums kind of like the way I use rocks. Because there's so many of them and they give so many offsets, I create a ribbon through my design with the Aeonium. That's a fun thing to do. Now, I don't have any more of this little black beach pebble, but that's okay. What I do have is some black 3/4 inch cinder. So that's another thing. There's no problem with covering your existing top dressing rock with new top dressing rock. It really is amazing what 10 minutes in a garden area can do for a space. Just pulling out some recalcitrant plants, popping in some cuttings, refreshing your rock. It's all it takes, really. 10 minutes can make a big difference. Check out this Aeonium Noble, too, that I planted in this pot. This pot was planted over a year ago, about 15 months ago, and it is absolutely magnificent, isn't it? This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip